welcome back. I wanted to come on here and do an update about my Outlander read along. As you can see, I am almost halfway through. I'm on page 330 and there's 400 pages for each half, I guess, so almost halfway. I just wanted to talk about the book reading experience so far, how I'm finding it, what I think now that I've read all of them. So I'm kind of looking back with the knowledge of what happens in future books. So this is not spoiler free. If you're planning on reading it, you shouldn't watch this. You should just go read it and enjoy yourself and then come back later if you want to. And if you're okay with spoilers, then continue on because I have some stuff to say that's going to be spoilery. One of the things that I want to talk about with this read along is two of the characters that the first couple times I read it, up until this time really, I didn't really consider it to be all that important. But looking back on it, having read all the way to the end of the series so far that's been published, I now realize actually were really important. So the first one that I want to talk about is Mrs. Fitz. I liked Mrs. Fitz the first time that I read the book, but I didn't really think very much of her. Just a, nice character, whatever. Reading this time, I'm seeing how important she was to Claire's side of the story. She really takes Claire under her wing and teaches her a lot of valuable information about healing, collecting herbs, caring for the garden. There was a couple key tips in here that I then realized in later books when Claire has her own garden and she's kind of, not in that Mrs. Fitz role, but running a household. She uses those skills and they're really, really important. So I thought Mrs. Fitz was a really interesting character looking back on it, and I can see how the author needed to have a character like Mrs. Fitz to teach Claire some of those key skills. Otherwise, she wouldn't have had them in the story, wouldn't have been as good. So I thought that was really interesting. The character that I want to talk about isn't a character that we meet. It's someone that is dead already when Claire arrives at Castle Leoch, and it's Davy Beaton. So when she arrives and she kind of says she has some, knowledge of healing and helping people who are sick or injured, they ask her, "Are you a Beaton?" And she has no idea what they're referring to. But there's a chapter called Davy Beaton's Closet, and that's where she goes to, what was kind of his workspace, his hospital room, I guess. And she spends a good part of the chapter clearing it out, looking for any records that he kept, finding some helpful things and then some really gross things. So that was a fun chapter to read all on its own. And then thinking about future books, how later when they get to America, Jamie buys her Dr. Rawlings' old medicine chest with all these amazing tools that she's able to use, and it's the best gift she's ever gotten. It's really, really helpful, and it sets up a lot of this story going on, right? She needs to have all those tools in order to kind of fulfill her role in life as a healer. And that character is also dead, and that's why she's able to get his old chest and go through his records, and then she starts keeping records of her own, as she does with Davy Beaton in this book. It was the first time that I noticed it. She reads notes about what he did to patients. She follows up with Colum, I think. She asked Colum, or she asked Dougal, how a particular patient is doing, and not very well, she died. And then with David Rawlings in later books, it's the same thing. I thought that was really interesting. I wonder if this is just a plot device by the author, Diana Gabaldon, who thinks Claire has that role in life. That's her passion, is healing, and that's, her gift, and she needs to share it with others. And then these other characters that are already deceased when we, the reader, and Claire interacts with them, play a large part in the story and in shaping Claire, but we never meet them. We only see their records that they left on paper or the physical items that they left behind. And Claire kind of has to use that to chart her own journey forward. And I just thought that was so interesting. So those are some of my recollections as I'm reading through this first read along book. I am enjoying the Facebook discussion group. If anyone's been on it, it's typical, I think, of a Facebook discussion group where lots of people have some very strong opinions, which is excellent. Opinions are wonderful. there is a lot of, snide remarks or, not willing to see other people's side. Lots of people like the show, lots of people hate the show, that kind of stuff, but that's fine. I just kind of ignore all of that and read, some of the interesting tidbits that people are gleaning from rereading the books the way that I'm doing it. So I have a calendar. There it is. Yeah, so that was really unnecessary. So I have a calendar. We are 8 days in. Okay, so there's another 12 or something to go. I will definitely finish before the day, before July 4th, which is when this is done. I definitely will finish. I think I have been reading kind of slower because things have been a little bit busy. I have some girls trips planned and stuff like that for this weekend. And then saying goodbye to my class, ending off the school year on a positive note. So it actually has been harder to read than I thought that it would be. Also with things opening where I am, there's just more to do, which is great. It's no problem. It's nice to read. I'm definitely not reading this book every day, but that's okay. It's nicer to read it in bigger chunks, I think. I can't just read like a page or two. I'd rather have time to read a whole chapter or a couple of chapters. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. I'm going to try to check in one more time before the July 4th, just to keep people updated and to keep my mind engaged about what I'm reading. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.